All right, a lot going on today. No question about that. Between the playoffs, the managerial changes, a lot happening. We're going to get to all of it. I'm going to start with the Mets. Please chat at me. I'm going to talk Mets first and then get to all the chats. Anybody want to critique, criticize, whatever, I am going to get to it. A lot happening, and there's some interesting stuff in the managerial turnovers that we are going to get to. But first, the New York Mets. Shocking, I know. Amazing. They won 83 games. That was their total win total. Incredible. They were 45 and 24 at one point, June 12th, as a matter of fact. All they needed to do was go 39 and 54 to finish it out, and they would have been in. All they needed to do was go 8 and 13, and they would have been in. They didn't do it. They went 7 and 14. They went 38 and 55. I get to a degree why they weren't so aggressive at the deadline. They thought they'd be in. I think they had a half-game lead over Philly at the time. They got blown away by Philly, but then to lose out to the Reds, just a pathetic season for the Mets. There is no other way to look at it. They obviously had several issues. I thought they should have been more passionate. I never saw any anger other than occasionally Jeff McNeil would get upset when he got a bad call or a good play or something like that. That's not what I mean. Some team-wide thing that was, showed passion, and we never saw it. They kind of let this happen to them. That's number one. The other thing was the pitching implosion. They had the best pitching through those first 69 games. Their ERA was number one. Over the last 100 and, what would it be, 93 games, their pitching was near the bottom. It was terrible. The starters all ran out of gas. It was shocking to see. Peterson, an all-star in the first half, was not good in the second half. Don't know exactly what happened, whether he got tired. I'm going to get to these tweets and chats in a little while. So redo it if I don't remember exactly what it was, and I will get to them all. But I certainly will. I'm seeing them. All right, I'm going to get to them and take notes of what to say, and we're going to talk to all about all that stuff. I understand why the Mets weren't that aggressive. They thought they had it in terms of a playoff spot. It's not their nature, at least the GM's nature, to do that. But they needed to do more. They needed to be more proactive. And he said at the press conference that he will consider being more aggressive, more proactive, and we shall see about that. But it certainly does not look good that Crochet is doing what he's doing. My understanding is they could have gotten Crochet for 4 prospects. The top 2 would have been Jet Williams and Brandon Sproat. At this point, obviously, you would have done that. A different Mets person told me, do that in a heartbeat. They didn't do it. That was mistake number one. The other big mistake, they let Duran and Bader go to the Phillies. They didn't even play for Bader. And Duran, they somehow didn't really click with the Twins. The Twins traded 11 people. So whatever you want to say about the Twins, grinding it tough, whatever, not so easy. They should have been able to deal with the Twins better and go and get Duran. He's got years to go. Instead, they got Helsley, who didn't do it. Instead of Bader, they got Mullins, who didn't do it. Neither one of them performed at all. Did not work out one bit. So they do need to be more proactive. They do need to show more passion. And I can see some changes coming. Could they make some big trades? Potentially. I would trade McNeil. I would consider trading Alvarez. Wouldn't be absolutely stunned if they considered trading Nimmo. They're very big on run prevention, basically defense. And the defense was below average at probably 4 spots, which certainly did not help matters. So we were going to get into everything else in a little while here. I'm appreciating all the chats, and I'm going to talk about it. Okay, let's go. Let's talk. He stays with Mets. All right, we're going to talk Alonso. I think it's 50-50 at this point. I know that's not big news. I'm going to give you some teams I think he might go to. The Mets obviously talked about run prevention, and, maybe that was a hint that Stearns is thinking, let's do something else. I believe Stearns, and I think everybody kind of believes it, that Stearns wouldn't have re-signed Alonso in the first place. Now, Alonso had a great year, so definitely the owner, Cohn, did the right thing in bringing him back. And we do believe that it was Cohn's call to bring him back. Obviously he had an 870, something like that, OPS. outstanding. They needed his 30-something home runs. Certainly it worked for them. I get it. He's not great defensively. He's good on scoops, not good at the other stuff. The range probably a little bit. The throws for sure. I get it. I'm getting some hints of what teams that Pete should go to. Like I said, I think there is a chance that Cohn overrules Stearns and brings him back again. It is going to take a long deal this time. I'm not seeing any one-year deal with an opt-out. Cannot see that happening at this point. He does not have the qualifying offer. He's unfettered. I think that'll bring in more teams. He had a much better year. He did not have that last-minute heroics that he had the previous year, so the outcry may not be as great. And I think Stearns is certainly willing to deal with the outcry. Is Cohn? We shall see. I will say I've heard the Astros are a possibility. Now, Christian Walker started to play better toward the end of the year, but that would be interesting to see because they obviously have a first baseman. They have a DH in Yordan Alvarez, provided he's healthier next year. So it doesn't seem like the best fit. Could Boston be a fit? Potentially. I don't know. Certainly, Casas got hurt this year. He'll be back next year, but they seem like they were willing to trade him in the first place. Red Sox need first baseman. Well, that's certainly an opinion. Maybe that'll be the way that it'll go. Alonso to Red Sox. That is a possibility. That's one of the teams I've got marked down here. Could the Rangers? Maybe. Could the Giants? Maybe. So it's going to be a bigger market. I don't think it's going to be Toronto as last year. Was the team that really was the stalking team. They have kept Guerrero now. They don't have that issue at all. I don't think they're going to lock in with Alonso at this point. So not seeing it. Padres for Pete. I don't see them spending that kind of money for Pete Alonso at this point. But hey, could be wrong. You never know. You never know in free agency. AJ Preller apt to do anything. Boy genius Stearns struck out. John, can you be GM? Well, I know that part is a joke, but Stearns did not have a great year. He admitted it. You look at the guys on that Mets team that really produced, right? It's the stars. It's Alonso, Nimmo, Lindor, Soto. It's McClain who came up, and it's Diaz, the closer. He didn't get any of those players. Now, I will say this. Stearns likes to get good deals. Technically he did get Soto, but we do know that's an ownership call, right? That's an ownership thing. Excuse me. So, Cohn, we're going to give Cohn the credit for Soto. The stuff that David did worked the first year. It worked in Milwaukee, but it did not work this year. Siri obviously didn't do anything. Holmes was a good one, right? He performed. The reliever turned starter. He did a nice job, but to bring in Montas, I didn't get it. Nobody got it at the time. Never made sense. It was $34 million. That didn't amount to anything. And Minaya bringing him back for $75 million. That looks like a mistake right now. He was great his first year with the Mets, but, he's over 30 and he had one great year. So, that didn't work. They felt with their pitching lab, all their pitching stuff, that they could turn a decent starter into something better. And it worked the first year. It did not work the second year. Obviously, it wasn't a good deadline either. Somebody just mentioned Vientos. Look, Vientos is a very good hitter. He may need to go elsewhere at this point. He doesn't really fit their MO of let's get run prevention. Brett Beatty, I think, was good defensively. And we're going to look at defense. Those are the guys the Mets seem to like and want to keep. So I think Beatty will be kept. I think Vientos might hit the market. Pete, DH for the Braves. I don't see that happening. I don't think the Braves are going to do that. I will say this, if the Mets want to bring him back as a DH, in free agency, it's almost all about the money, right? So I guess it's possible. Pete does not like DHing. For what it's worth, I once commented to him that he hits very well when he DHs. He wasn't that thrilled with that kind of comment. He wants to be a first baseman. He definitely works at it. He's improved. He is still below average defensively overall, though good on the scoops. But this is obviously a major deal in New York, what to do with Pete Alonso, because they're talking about run prevention. What else could you do? You could trade Nimmo, who's pretty average defensively in left field, outstanding in the clubhouse, great hitter, but I could see that, and his contract is tradable. Yankees are a logical fit in the Bronx. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. I should have mentioned that. I'm going to say that these teams are the teams potentially for Alonso, other than the Mets. And the Mets may bring him back because we do think that Cone hears the fans, listens to the fans. I'm not going to give up on that. He obviously had a great year. He's the all-time home run leader for the Mets. But I would put in Houston because I've heard that as a team that is interested. Boston, that is a team that makes sense. His wife happens to be from Boston, so that's a potential team. Maybe Texas, could see that. Big market. Seattle, same thing. Could use some maybe extra offense. They did well this year, but I could see that. And the Yankees. Let's throw the Yankees in there. I'm glad that somebody mentioned that because it does make sense. Paul Goldschmidt on a one-year deal. He played well this year. Is he coming back? Not necessarily. We'll see on Goldschmidt. Is it possible that he retires? He's 38 years old. He's had an amazing career. He hasn't said. I asked him the other day, and he didn't really want to talk about it at this point. I get it. They're going into the playoffs, or we're going to the playoffs. So we're going to talk about the Yankees in the playoffs later. And again, getting to all the managerial changes. But certainly those are the 5 or 6 teams that make the most sense for Alonso. And he will have a better market this year, I do think, as well. All right, let's get to the managerial changes. And there are many. And if I missed your chat earlier, please chat back at me, and I'm happy to talk. Will the Mets be more active in the trade market or free agent pitching market? They need to get starting pitching, right? I mean, McClain, he kind of put McClain in the same basket with Tong and Sproat. I wouldn't do that. I mean, I kind of count on McClain as a starter next year. I mean, after what he did, he was fantastic. Sproat's got a chance to be a starter for them next year, and they got a lot of maybes beyond that. So they better, you never have enough pitching, as they say. They better do something in terms of the pitching. Walt or DeRosa in Atlanta. All right. I think it's wide open in Atlanta. I don't know that they're set on anybody. DeRosa's doing the WBC. Could that have been a hindrance to taking a job this year? I think that is a possibility that maybe he'll wait it out this year. Atlanta is the one that makes sense. He wasn't a Braves player. He was a player in many places, but he was a very good Braves player. That's where he makes his home. That would have been a logical one, but not really sure the timing is right there. So anyway, as we see there, the news is Brian Snitker is out as Braves manager. The word in the last few days was that he wanted to come back. So, I'm not sure the Braves didn't give him a little nudge here. They were saying on background that it's up to him. But, what are they going to say? That we're going to push out a guy who's been there for 49 years? They can't say that. My understanding on Brian Snitker is that when he signed his extension a couple of years ago, the understanding, and I don't know that it was written out or anything, and I'm assuming it was not, the understanding was that this was going to be his last year. They feels like the Braves kept it to that and decided to make a change. I don't know that they have anybody in mind. David Ross was a player there. Ryan Flaherty was a player there. They all could make sense. I love Walt Weiss. I think he's a terrific guy. I think he got a bad deal in Colorado. He's been a loyal guy there as the coach, bench coach for the Braves. Would make sense to me, but I am hearing it's kind of open right now and that he's not necessarily the guy. We shall see about that. All right, so keep chatting at me. I'm going to make sure to get to as many as I can. But certainly it's been an interesting time for the managers. As we wrote in the Post, we thought that Bochy and Snitker could be an issue, certainly, and Baldelli. Those were the first 3 guys I mentioned. Bob Melvin, we know, is out with the Giants. The Bochy one is interesting. Could he possibly go back to the Giants? He's an all-time great Giants manager, greatest Giants manager since John McGraw. That's a long time. Obviously Buster Posey, who's in charge there, was the catcher during this period. He knows how great Bochy is. Could he bring him back? I could see that. I mean, some people have told me they think that's happening. Others have said they don't think it's going to happen. We shall see. But I do think that Bochy back to San Francisco should not be ruled out. As far as Texas goes, I mean, I think it's pretty clear that it's going to be Skip Schumacher. I'll be very surprised if it's someone else. The only thing that could prevent Skip Schumacher from being the Rangers manager is if somebody else blows him away with an amazing offer who's got an opening. I mean, he is from Southern California. He's an Orange County guy, so the Angels are his hometown team. They have an opening now, and we're going to get to all of that here right now with the Angels. We got all the managers, so we're going to blend it all together. Could the Angels go after Schumacher? I would think, possibly he's obviously the top guy out there. He was fantastic with the Marlins, manager of the year. I could see that, but Artie Moreno might have somebody else in mind, and we're going to get to that in a little while. I do feel that Texas is going to be the team for Schumacher. He's been working there for a couple of years now since leaving Miami in the front office, and it'll be a surprise if they don't work it out with Schumacher. His son is either going to or already at TCU. That's in Fort Worth. That's not very far from Arlington. So it's going to be a surprise if Schumacher does not end up with Texas. All right, Minnesota, Baldelli, they obviously had a collapse 2 years ago. This year, again, with the injuries and other things, can't say it was his fault, but when a team collapses, I'm generally of a mind that you need to change the manager. You don't want that narrative going into the next year. I know somebody just chatted at me about Mendoza. I mean, it's hard to fire Mendoza. He had such a great first year, and he does bring a presence. He definitely does, and he's a terrific guy, and everybody likes him. Somebody's suggesting that now. I just don't see that. It's not happening. They've said he's coming back, so I don't think anything's going to go on there. Generally, I do believe that if there's a collapse, they do need to change managers. In this case, I'm going to make an exception. The team already made that exception. He obviously didn't inspire the troops this year, but they're hoping for better. They love the guy. He's a terrific guy. We shall see. Am I going to be on Hot Stove this year? Thank you for asking. She'll see. I'm always on MLB Now and on MLB Central. Occasionally I'm on Hot Stove, not as often. All right, I thank you for that question. That was very, very nice. All right, so more managerial talk of the Orioles. Somebody chatted at me, and I did see that one. I'm happy to answer that. I'm hearing they're telling people that Manzolino is 50-50 to stay. So could go either way. When they hired him, he looked like a temp to me. At this point, I think they'll go through the process. I do see Flaherty and Ross as potentials there. Flaherty did play in Baltimore, did go to Vanderbilt, which is somewhat close, not really, but somewhat. Ross, they talked to him about the bench coach job last year. He ended up not taking it for whatever reason. I don't think they're going to hold that against him. I see him as a candidate. So I think they go through the process. Do they go back to Manzolino, who actually won a lot of games compared to what they did before he was there? At least this year, I think it's a possibility. Red Sox in on Alonso could be. Soto did not help us at all this year. Better starters needed. I agree with better starters needed. I don't think there's any question about that. The starters imploded. Did not help us at all. He had 43 home runs. He stole 38 bases. He led the league in walks. He had a 930 or so OPS. To say did not help us, I understand the standards are high when you got a $51 million salary, when you're making $126 million. I'm throwing in the $75 million bonus. The standards are going to be extremely, extremely high, but I think he met those standards. I mean, we knew that he wasn't a great defender. We got that. We knew he was a great hitter. You got that. I think he hit a little bit of bad luck. I think he could have been even better. He hit a lot of balls hard that were caught. But in any case, 43 home runs. His batting average was a little down. It was around 263. Nobody cares about batting average anymore, do they? I don't know. I think he was really good. He added base stealing to his game, so I think that's not fair at all. To say Soto didn't help is crazy. Yeah. He can't be the entire team, LOL. Yes, I agree. He was a help. They obviously had good years from all those guys, Alonso, Nimmo, Lindor, Soto, and still only won 83 games. Still got beaten out by a small market Reds team. Really, really incredible. Not something that we would have expected at all. So anyway, Baldelli, not a shock. He followed up a collapse with a year where they sold. Obviously didn't play well at the end. So I do believe he will be a candidate elsewhere, whether that's this year or in the future. People love him. I do think he'll land somewhere, as I think Ross will get another job. A lot of these guys who are out of work now did pretty well. Brandon Hyde won a bit with the Orioles. He should get jobs. Scott Service, could he get a job? Pujols, the Angels manager. We're going to get to that now. All right, Nats and Angels manager search. Nats are going to do a full search. I mean, Cairo will be part of it. I think it's a long shot whether Cairo stays there. I think he will be looking elsewhere while they're conducting their search. So that'll tell you something right now about the chances for Cairo. Certainly, I would think they would look at Brandon Hyde, who I just mentioned. Some of the other guys I just mentioned, Flaherty, Ross, the same list for them. And I think they're going to conduct a full search. How about the Red Sox bench coach, Ramon Vasquez? Tadoni got the job in Washington, right? He was a Red Sox executive. Could he hire the Red Sox bench coach? That's a possibility. I'll throw that out there. Angels, I mean, I heard Pujols potentially a month ago. I was kind of thrown off that trail. They mentioned how things didn't end that well with him. And, they obviously released him. He wasn't that happy about it, I'm sure. I don't being an all-time great. But things can be made up. Obviously, he is a consultant there, paying $2 million a year. Is he really consulting? I don't know what goes on there. Does he do anything for that $2 million? I don't know. Perhaps he's been in touch. That certainly could give him a one-up. I would think that Artie Moreno would kind of gravitate toward Pujols, an all-time great, who he signed. And obviously, Pujols was pretty good. For the first 5 of those 10 years. Ended up being 9-point-something years, but pretty good for the first 5 of those years, and he helped them get a new TV contract, which I think Artie Moreno probably cares about. So I think Pujols has a good shot with the Angels. I do. But they are going to conduct a search. They would like Montgomery to come back in some role. We shall see what he decides to do. They liked him. They didn't think he was the manager for that team. And Ron Washington, I think they had health concerns. At least that's what they were saying. Maybe they were being nice. I don't know. He did have quadruple bypass surgery. Just joined Dodgers fan here. Hey, the Dodgers got a lot of good stuff going on. I'm going to talk about playoff storylines a little. Alonso to the Rays. Hey, can't rule it out, right? That would be a nice ballpark for him to hit in, at least for the next years, as they're still playing in Little Yankee Stadium. I like Posada for men. I'll say this. I love Posada. He was one of my favorite players to cover. I have not heard that at all. Giants, new manager, question mark. As we said earlier, I've heard some people say that Bochy's got a good shot. If not, I think it'll be somebody with ties to Buster Posey. Look who he's hired so far, right? He brought back Bobby Evans, who was the GM during the assistant GM during the heyday under Brian Sabian, and he brought in his own agent, Jeff Berry. So I think Buster Posey wants to have someone he's familiar with. They did win 3 championships in San Francisco. He'll find somebody who he has a connection to, I think, although he basically has only connections to the Giants. I think Bochy's got a shot there. We'll see. Does he want to do it? We heard that he didn't love retirement. Will he love it better the second time? I don't know. But, I mean, to me, that's the best guess going. Can the Yankees come back after such a letdown? All right, we're going to get to all the playoff storylines. Now, are we done with the managers? I think we've got them all, right? Right, Melvin left or was fired. Baldelli, Snitker. There's a lot going on in the managers, a lot to keep up with there, but I think we hit them all. Will the Mets win a World Series in the next century? I'm going to predict that they do. I will not be around to see the entire century, but if you guys are around, let me know somehow. Tweet at my estate and let me know that I was correct. Because we do have 75 years to go in this century. I'm assuming you're talking about this century, not the next 100 years. We have 75 years to go. They have the richest owner. Right now, they have the #1 farm system. So no excuses for them not to go crazy and with trades, with free agency, and do something. Because obviously the fans, as Steve Cohen pointed out in his tweet, the fans have been fantastic. They filled the place, basically. They were like 5th in attendance, right? Certainly they were behind the Dodgers. The Padres had a great year for attendance, the Yankees, but they were around 5th in attendance after a poor year the year before. You wonder what it's going to be like next year, though, after this year, the way it happened. I mean, certainly Soto brings in fans, but I do think the fact that they bombed this year, attendance might actually be down next year. But as we know, Steve Cohen can afford it. Does Boone get fired if the Yankees lose tonight? Wow. The extension was supposed to be for next year and the year after. Cashman and Hal love him. If he has another one like he did last night, I think we'll have to look into it at least. I mean, I don't think so, but they love the guy. He's won a ton of games. But at this moment, and we're getting into the playoff storylines, it feels like Alex Cora really has the knack. There's some instinct that he has. and he's one of the best managers in baseball. It just feels like Boone, while being a great guy, fantastic at public relations, always says the right thing. The bosses love him. Cashman loves him. Hal loves him. The players love him. Aaron Boone loves him. It feels like he sometimes doesn't make the right move. I mean, certainly is looking back on it. Max Fried, 102 pitches. He could have finished out that inning. I don't think that was a good move to take him out with one out there and bring in Weaver, who's been struggling. I don't think that was the right move. It didn't certainly work out when Weaver was hit with an 11-pitch walk and then gave up 2 hard ground singles. And suddenly, instead of a 1-0 lead, it was 2-1 down within 3 batters. So, I mean, you can't even think of a more extreme example of a move backfiring so quickly. It really was amazing. Was it the dumbest move I've ever seen? No, but it didn't work, and it's happened a lot, it feels like. I mean, the Red Sox have won all these playoff matchups with the Yankees, and even when they look a little bit overmatched, look at the lineups. Now, the Yankee lineup wasn't quite their usual lineup. Jazz, who did not seem happy, was not in the lineup. Neither was Ryan McMahon, and neither was Ben Rice. Part of that was trying to figure out how to get to Crochet. And certainly, if you got a guy who's 6 for 9 or 6 for 10 like Ahmed Rosario, tough to leave him out. Caballero gives you some speed. He's also very good defensively. So, they were all arguable in a sense, but to have a lineup without 3 of your top hitters, and I'll include McMahon in there because he does pop the ball out every once in a while as a hitter, but he's a great, great third baseman. Caballero is a very good shortstop, so he was really good last night defensively, but didn't work. And Ben Rice, after Judge, he's been their second best hitter lately, so that didn't help them either. There were decisions that didn't help. It does feel like the Red Sox are scrappier. They manufacture runs. The Yankees aren't good at manufacturing runs. The Yankees aren't good at beating the good teams. They're still under 500 against the playoff teams, something like 28-33. It changed a little when the Reds got in and not the Mets, but same area. It's around 28-33, and the pen has not been good for the Yankees. Now, it's been better lately, but overall it's been below average, even though they brought in Devin Williams, or the lowest ERA of any reliever in the last, I don't know how many years. He has not been very good overall. Bednar came in. He's been okay. They made him the closer because he's been okay. That's better than the others. Weaver was great last year. It's been up and down a bit this year. And, was a little surprising to bring him in that situation, but they figured at the bottom of the order, nobody on base. That might be the spot for him. Did not work, and they've had a few of these with the Yankees. So we shall see. I'm not going to guarantee that Boone will be back, but I think it's going to be a surprise if he's not. Again, manager jobs are tough. Rob Bradford said Alex Cora will be fired if the Sox don't make the World Series. I did not see that, so I shouldn't even read that. I don't know if that's true. Doesn't sound right to me. Why would Alex Cora be fired? I mean, they just gave him an extension making $7 million a year. It was a 3-year, $21 million extension. I think a year ago they gave him that extension. I think we had that story at the Post, actually. I mean, he's one of the best managers in baseball. He's got a team right now with reclamation projects all over it, right? I mean, Lowe was let go by the Nats, right? Narvaez was a trade from the Yankees. They don't trade somebody to the Red Sox who they think is going to be a star. They've got guys littered up and down that lineup, like the Sogard is a utility man up and down the lineup. I believe a lot of these moves were analytics. I think Boone does do what they tell him to do, generally. We don't know about last night. I'm going to look into that, but that was not the right move. Whether it was his call or analytics, I cannot tell you that at this moment, but it did not work out. And there have been a lot of moves that did not work out. But if it was something that they told him to do and he did, tough to fire him for that as well. But I give the Red Sox credit. Alex Cora, I can't imagine that he would be going anywhere. I know it's a tough job or whatever, but they've overachieved. They're beating the Yankees at this point. Yankees should be much better. Will the Orioles turn around if they address the pitch? Yeah, I mean, they have a lot of good young players. They certainly have the potential two turnaround. I apologize, I wasn't able to get to all the chats this time. I'll try to do it next time. Tigers and Guardians. I mean, Schoolball's amazing. I bailed them out. It looked like they were heading down. The Guardians, incredible story with the gambling hanging over their heads. Obviously, I don't think Clase or Ortiz are coming back. They moved on. They played as a team. They got on a hot streak. They ended up winning the division. Really one of the most amazing stories of the year, and I give them all the credit in the world. If anyone can come back on anybody, it'll be them, because so they have to win the next two. The team that wins the first game of the wild card basically always wins for whatever reason. These 3-game wild cards, it shouldn't be that way. The team that loses the first game should still have a 25% chance to win. It has not worked out that way. I'm not putting anything past the Guardians and beating the Tigers. Without Scooble now, Guardians have a shot. Cubs, Padres. Hey, maybe this is why Craig Counsell got the biggest contract in managerial history, at least at the time. 14 straight outs by the bullpen, a bullpen full of reclamation projects. So give Tommy Hanavy, the pitching coach, credit, and everybody else with the Cubs. Padres, I still think they got a shot. It's only one game. They got a good team. They got a great bullpen. Cease is pitching today. Former Cub, briefly a Cub, more a White Sox. I like that team. It's a scrappy team. Still in it, I think. The Reds, that'll be a long shot if they can win any games against the Dodgers. The Dodgers, I know they weren't the top team, and they have to play here because they only won, what did they win, 92, 93 games. This is really a stacked team. They have 3 Hall of Famers on that team. They have the pitching lined up beautifully. Clayton Kershaw's not even in the rotation. He's not even on the roster for the first round. He's the greatest pitcher over the last 50 years, along with Pedro Martinez. Not even on the roster. You got Snell, you got Yamamoto, you got Ohtani pitching. That's a tough team to beat for anybody, but particularly small market Reds. Not ready for the prime time, in my opinion. Give them credit. Scrappy team. Ohio did a great job at the end of the year, getting both teams in. Good for Cincinnati getting in. Good for Terry Francona. He's worth every penny they pay him. He's done a terrific job. If they win the next 2 against the Dodgers, I'm going to have to take a mea culpa not next week, because that's one I think there's basically no chance. How did the Dodger bullpen hold up the whole play? You know what? They got a ton of guys in that bullpen, and it's like roulette, picking one or the other. And someone's got to work. I don't know why Kershaw wasn't an option and why he didn't make at least the first round playoff roster. Didn't make sense to me. I don't know. Trinan is great in the postseason. He's a help. Sheehan was great in the regular season. Vesia was good, very good in the regular season. Bonda's solid. I like Dreyer. You pick somebody. It should be good, but between Scott, Yates, Kopech, Phillips, everybody thought they had the best bullpen maybe ever going into the season. And the bullpen won him the World Series last year, along with, obviously, Freddie Freeman. Bullpen won them. They were fantastic last year. And they added Yates and Scott, and it's been a disaster this year. But you know what? If anyone can live with a disastrous bullpen, it's Dave Roberts and the Dodgers. They are fantastic. And at this point, I would not be shocked if they won it all. Let's be reasonable. My original pick, I believe, was Red Sox Dodgers. I'll go check the post archives. But so they're both still alive, but obviously a long way to go. Anyway, it's been my pleasure. This is Jon Heyman signing off for Bleacher Report. I will be back at you next week. I'm sorry we have to change the times due to the fact I'm at these games. And anyway, see you next week.